So we've got David. So we've got all our speakers here today. So the hour's going to roughly look like a brief overview from me, just giving the sort of bare bones of PAL, and then we'll have about 10 minutes each, roughly, from each of our three speakers. And then if we have time at the end, a Q&A. So you could either type some questions as you go in the chat, or leave them to the end, and we'll discuss them. Okay, so I'll try and share my screen. Let me know if you can see the presentation. Is that all right for everyone? Take that as a yes. Yeah, thank you very much. Excellent. Okay, so provider access legislation. Well, it started out as the Baker Clause, and we call it the Baker Clause with teeth since last January, where there's certain things that you have to do. So we'll just sort of break down in a few slides what those things are. So it's 6 encounters in all that need to be provided from any approved technical or apprenticeship qual. It has to be in the same day as normal school day, and all pupils should have an opportunity of having that meaningful encounter. So we'll discuss what that might look like. What do we mean by meaningful? There's a link down the bottom of that slide to our hub page, where there'll be a number of links, and I've got some links at the end of this presentation. Okay, so the breakdown includes 3 phases, the first being year 8 and 9. So if someone is in year 8 and say you got AIM to come and talk about apprenticeships, when they're in year 9, you'd want to get somebody else in. But that could look like AIM could speak to all 6 year groups in 1 year, but then the next year it would have to be someone else. So that would be the sort of bare minimum that you would need to meet PAL. So in terms of the statutory guidelines, you only really have to get 2 different providers in. So it's not that big a task. It depends where the school is, the local labour market, etc. Okay, so 2 different providers in years 8 and 9, and the same goes for years 10 and 11, and that needs to be any time in year 8, but for year 9 before the 28th of February. And that's the same for the year 11s, because obviously they're very busy in term 3. And the main difference between phase 2 and 3 is that, phase 1 and 2 versus 3 is that you have to provide the opportunity for an encounter, but it's optional for the 6th form students to attend. Okay, that's fairly straightforward. So again, what do we mean by a meaningful encounter? So there's just a few things to ensure that any provider, whether you're a provider or the provider you're getting into the school, is aware of to meet PAL. And that could be providing this information to the provider, or getting some students to have maybe a worksheet so they have to ask some questions about these subcategories. So let's just briefly go through them. Information about the provider, so the company, what do they do, how big are they, how many employees do they have, how many apprentices do they take on each year, that sort of thing. Information about the careers beyond the apprenticeship, should they wish to do that, or technical qualification. So what potential careers do the company provide, but also what do some of the apprentices go on to do if they don't continue to work with that company. So it might be a nice idea to get sound bites or quotations from people that have either done the apprenticeship in hindsight and where they are now, or get somebody who's doing it, either come into the school or get some quotations, some pictures, videos, that sort of thing. Multimedia is always good to find out what it's really like doing an apprenticeship from the horse's mouth, as it were. A description of what the actual learning is on the job, how many hours is expected on the job, how many in college, times, breaks, how much they're going to earn whilst they're on it, as well as how much they're likely to earn once they start their career proper. That's always a question that young people are going to be asking. And then finally, and probably most importantly, in terms of that meaningful encounter, is the opportunity for a Q&A. So I've heard a number of schools talk about things like assemblies, and you might want to think about, depending on the size of your school, how likely it is for a young person to ask a question to a speaker when there's 200 other kids there, or what have you. Some schools have said they've done assemblies, but they got the questions in advance, which is an interesting take on the PAL. However, how do you know what question to ask before a person has told you all the information? The questions tend to come up as you get that information. So that could potentially be a sticking point. I know another school told me that they did an assembly, but then the providers went into the form groups and had that more personalized one-to-one interaction with young people. So it's just something to be mindful about in terms of allowing that Q&A. And again, if you've got some sort of careers carousel with a number of providers coming in, having something structured, so a list of potential questions, or just some blank lines, find some information about what the company's like, how many hours is it going to be on the course, what can you do after the course, and some potential closed open questions for the provider if they can't think of their own. Okay. And so here we'll send you this presentation at the end, but you've got a link here to our website all about PAL, lots of links to providers as well. Particular challenges that people can find is finding those providers. So hopefully today will help because we've got some guest speakers. And not getting enough notice from schools. So this is obviously a perennial issue where schools don't always have capacity to be ringing round and finding those providers. And hopefully that's something that we can support you with. Talk to your enterprise coordinator or advisor, if you have one, about supporting you with that. And I was reading today this independent review. I don't know if anyone else has had a chance to read this, and I was looking through it from a sort of PAL perspective. So here's some of the things I pulled out from that review in terms of, I think there's about 30 schools they went into. So let's look at how other schools are finding meeting PAL. So they're not all meeting PAL, even though it came out from last February. So if you're struggling, you won't be the only one. Some schools wanted a little bit more guidance, information about what constitutes that meaningful encounter, as we've just discussed. Sometimes FE and skills provider can struggle to get into schools, as I just mentioned, and some teachers' knowledge of apprenticeships and T-levels were limited. So again, that's the CPD issue. That could be something that you want to raise with SLT to try and raise that attainment. And again, something that we could help with, AIM could help with, Make Happen could help with. Guidance bias towards particular pathways, not always due to schools deliberately trying to feed their students into their sixth forms or grammar schools, getting them into Russell Group universities, but actually just around this lack of strategic planning. So again, what would be really nice to see from the Hub's perspective is that any PAL event is logged or tracked in the tracker section of the Compass Plus software. So it's a couple of clicks, which year group, which benchmark, and then obviously the sub benchmark would be that Key Stage 3 or 4 or 5 PAL sub benchmark. And then finally, parents that are underused. So again, a lot of data suggests that young people end up doing what their parents want them to do or suggest that they do, and therefore it's really important that the parents get all the information as well as the young people. Obviously, it's not going to meet PAL because you like to get the parents in after the school day, and PAL needs to be within the normal school hours. So that would be sort of an extension of PAL, if you like. Okay, and finally, the inspections of secondary schools. They what are they considering? So if you're expecting Ofsted in, what might they ask you? What are they looking at? So how has the school made arrangements to meet PAL? So if you're in that category of in progress on that sub benchmark, you know, as long as it's in your policy, as long as it's you've got your PAL statement on your website, you're showing evidence of meeting PAL this year. And the school's published information about careers on the statement, as I mentioned. Great. And that's it, really. We've just to say that we've got the Careers Leader Induction course. If you're a new CL, for example, and you haven't done our particular in-house training, then this does have a section on PAL. So well worth doing that. And then finally, just a few resources based around PAL. So an example statement, if you don't already have one on your website, that you can amend. And then some resources that link to how you might go about making that meaningful, either in a SEND or mainstream situation. And then there's another from the National Careers Service. And that's it. Any questions at this stage before I let our first guest talk about PAL from a provider's perspective?
We have two hands up. First one's from Sue.
Yeah, we have got AIM booked in. We've had AIM actually booked in for the last 3 years, and they continuously have change of staff. It's a huge issue with them for us in North Essex, because you're then saying we have to use different providers. We're trying to give information to students, so we're actually using the same company. We're using the Institute Apprenticeship team. If you want someone on apprenticeships as a college or training provider giving it, you can't rely on AIM, and it's a big. I find it a big issue. So we're then booking them early enough because we booked them in June, but I understand staff leave, but it does make it difficult for us as a school.
I didn't catch all of that because of the sound quality, but I'm gathering you're saying that it's a little bit difficult with people like AIM and the staffing issues. Have you contacted Make Happen at all?
Make Happen wouldn't actually cover apprenticeships. They're not a provider.
They can speak on behalf of a provider. It'd be worth talking to them about that.
Yeah, no, I've got the Institute booked in, but then we've got employers who offer a broad range of apprentices, so it covers it that way as well. But I'm just saying, it's like AIM, this year and the previous 2 years, they pulled out like 2 weeks before they're due to come in, which does make it really difficult for schools.
Yeah, I'll let Abby discuss the issues that they've had in that regard shortly. But it sounds like you are meeting AIM, not AIM.
Yeah.
You are meeting PAL as it is. So yeah, no, I appreciate what you're saying.
We have Louise as well. That's got her hand up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, mine. I'm relatively new to the careers kind of remit. Mine was a basic question. Hope it's not too daft. In relation to the mandatory parts that you were talking about earlier. So, is the suggestion or the provision have to be 2 different providers in each year group, or was that 2 for years 8 and 9? If you see what I mean.
Yeah, so they've put them in 3 blocks. So the first block is year 8 and 9. So if, say, AIM talk to year 8s, by the time those year 8s go into year 9, you'd want to expose them to a different provider.
Okay.
But then you could get the same provider in the year after, because that would be a different block. So year 8s and 9s, try and get 2 different providers, and then year 10 and 11, they'd have to be different as well.
Okay.
And then if you have a 6th form, you'd need to have the opportunity, give them the option, but whether they attend, that's up to them.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Okay. Anyone else?
Abby's still got her hand up, but I think she is about to present. So
yeah, so I'll hand over to you.
The questions from Sue and Louise. If everyone wants to put their hands down, that's great. Thank you. And we'll move over to the next speaker.
Brilliant, thanks, Tom. Fantastic. So yeah, I'll just introduce myself first and foremost. I have got a really short PowerPoint to share with you all. But yeah, my name's Abby and I'm from the AIM group. I really appreciate all of the careers leads and teachers taking some time out this afternoon. I know you're all incredibly time poor, so to come on and listen, we really appreciate it. So first, I'll address the first point from, let me just scroll down and see so I can see everybody. Was that from Sue? Sorry, Tom, I can't quite see everybody on the list there.
Yes, it was.
Thank you. Thanks, Laura. So yeah, I'll address that first and foremost. So I'm one of the school engagers that covers the whole of Essex, the whole county, providing support for over 160 schools. So I'm really sorry to hear that you've had a bad experience in terms of capacity and availability. I cover the south of the county, and I've had a colleague recently resign from post, so that may explain some capacity issues there. But of course, I'd love to follow up with you outside of this meeting to see how we can support you best. As any provider providing outreach support or school liaison advice, it can be challenging to support the number of schools in Essex, but we're certainly up to the challenge to try and meet the high demand. And hopefully coming to forums like this, we can address some of those challenges that clearly schools do and are facing, and be part of a solution to help you engage with other providers when perhaps we are not able to meet that need. So I will, like I say, I will follow up with Sue outside of this meeting. I'm just going to share my screen, just hopefully this works. Just so you can see. Okay, so if you could let me know when you can see my screen okay,
Yeah,
just give me a shout. Fantastic, thank you, Tom. So as Tom mentioned, a brilliant explanation of the PAL legislation there, and crucial to that is asking providers just like the AIM group and others who are on the call this afternoon to come in and speak to your students. And we are incredibly privileged to have that invitation, and we do work hard to go into schools and provide what is clearly a much needed service. So I work for the AIM group and I deliver the ARFS programme across Essex. We currently also deliver across Suffolk and Cambridgeshire as well. I'll just explain to those of you who aren't aware of my programme, we are fully funded by the Department for Education. We provide support to schools and FE colleges, and in fact any institute who requires our support. We're supported by the Amazing Apprenticeships. They provide all of our resources, our PowerPoint presentations. We provide a range of activities and workshops, including assemblies, but not exclusive to assemblies. And really our mission is to support students, teachers, parents, and careers leaders with the challenge to provide students with accurate information, advice and guidance. The programme, the ARFS programme, which stands for Apprenticeship Skills and Knowledge, is going into its 9th year. And if I just move on to the next slide, in terms of what you can expect from our programme, this slide here provides you with an overview of what's available. We provide workshops for your students. It's important to note that we are only funded to engage with students from year 10, 11, 12 and 13. We are not funded to work with the lower years. So unfortunately, that's not something we are funded to deliver. We have fed that back to the Department for Education, and they are very aware that there is a need for that particular type of provision. We provide a number of workshops, sessions that can be presented within a carousel day, within tutorial times, assembly slots, wherever you find the space to present your careers guidance information. We like to work with schools to offer our workshops. We also support teachers and careers advisors and parents. We often attend parent evening events or post-16 events as well. And we have lots of resources to support you as well. Our delivery is mainly face-to-face. However, during COVID, we provided virtual support, and we can continue to provide virtual support as well. I just wanted to give you an example of how our offer relates to PAL legislation. So at the beginning, Tom, you spoke about how you could make a session meaningful, and we're very keen to make our sessions as engaging and as meaningful as we can. We talk about a range of training providers when we are providing apprenticeship overviews, or our most popular session, how to find an apprenticeship. We talk about various different training providers, from colleges to independent training providers, and we give tangible examples. So when we're, for example, delivering a find an apprenticeship session, we will look at apprenticeship vacancies from a variety of different training providers and industries. For example, if a student is asking where could they potentially undertake a creative and media apprenticeship, we would highlight a training provider in the north of the county, Gingernutt, fantastic training provider who offer lots of apprenticeship standards and vacancies in that particular area. For digital, we might highlight them to the Lightbulb training provider. For hair and beauty, we might signpost them to Debut, and so on and so on. I'm just giving you a snapshot of how we advertise and promote that variety of training providers. And we also aim to work with real life apprentices as well, whether that be including case studies from amazing apprenticeship videos or including a day in the life of videos to try and bring that real life perspective from an apprentice. Recently, we delivered an event in conjunction with the DWP at a local secondary school in Basildon, and we were able to bring apprentices from a variety of different industries to really try and make that session meaningful and engaging. We always allow time for questions and answers, and we will field those questions and answer kind of frequently asked questions. That's something that we really do emphasise in our sessions. And then just keeping to time here, the impact of the programme, this is me being a little bit vain, some pictures of me, which I'm sure we don't really need to see, but this just gives you a snapshot of some of the impact of our programme. Of course, we are in demand and we do expect, you know, further priorities 2023 to 2024. For the academic term, we are seeing more and more inquiries from schools, just like the careers leaders on the call today, who are inquiring to get in contact with us to ask us to come and deliver. We absolutely will try and work as hard as we can to meet up with the demand. We're aware that there's work to be done, and we continue to work with partners such as Make Happen and some of the other fantastic training providers on the call today. If you are looking to find out more and get in contact and you want to book an initial meeting with me to find out more, you can contact me via the email address on the screen. We can hold a planning meeting, complete some initial paperwork and get started. I've included some useful links for all of you to maybe review a little bit later. And this is just some of the resources that we can help to provide you further on from our sessions as well. Thank you so much for listening. I will take any questions. I can take them now, Tom, or I can take them later, whatever's appropriate for you.
Thanks very much, Abby. Have we got any questions? If there's a specific question for Abby, we could have them now. Okay, Aaron, are you ready to talk about your
Yes, yeah, let's go. We're all ready. Okay, so hi everyone. My name's Aaron. I work for TCHC Group, which is an independent training provider in Basildon. Today I'm going to have a quick chat about what we offer. So we are study program based only for 16 to 18-year-olds. So I do have a little presentation to share just to give you a bit of an idea of what we do. Can everyone see that? Yeah, all good. Okay. So TCHC Basildon, or also known as GAPS for a lot of people at the moment. My job at the moment is to try to get TCHC's name out there. So we're quite new to Basildon. And we're offering study programs for 16 to 18-year-olds. Just to give you a bit of an overview on who TCHC are, we are focusing on 16 to 18-year-olds, but also the 19 to 24 category if they have a current education, health and care plan. We have 2 centres based in Basildon. Both are quite small in compared to maybe bigger colleges. We focus on vocational qualifications alongside English and maths, functional skills and GCSEs. All of our topics will cover work experience. So we try to give all of our young people the experience of the world of work. So that could be going out to an employer that we have on board or doing some work related activity in our centres. Our courses typically run from September. Well, we start August, but usually September all the way throughout the year. So we are a roll on, roll off provider, which means that young people can start with us at any point throughout the year. So if they drop out somewhere else because it's not for them, we can pick them up and hopefully help them out with a course that we also offer. We are an Ofsted Good provider as of June last year. And the benefits of TCHC. So as I said, we do work with quite small class sizes. So our capacity in Basildon over our 2 sites is about 200 learners. And with that, our class sizes are no bigger than 12 to 15. We like to keep them nice and small. We do provide all of the equipment for our young people. So if there is equipment such as beauty learners will need tunics, we will provide all of that. There's no outlay to any young person when they're doing a course with us. We do provide bursary funds, so we can support with travel expenses on public transport, and they can have a food bursary to buy themselves some lunch while they're here. As I said, we offer work experience. We're roll on, roll off. We don't have any entry requirements. So if a young person doesn't get the grades they need to maybe go to another college, we can still support them. They don't need to have their English and Maths GCSEs because we'll support them to retake with us. We support young people that might have additional needs. So we have quite a big learning support staff team, which might support young people with an education, health and care plan that need that more tailored support. So we might be able to put on that 1-to-1 if they need it, or 2-to-1, depending on what their plan states. All young people are enrolled onto a vocation as their main aim, and then English and Maths comes alongside it, and that's functional skills or GCSE, depending on what they leave school with. A typical timetable for us, so we try to keep it short days, but still meeting the full-time hours as being in education. So young people are typically enrolled onto a 16-hour-a-week programme between Monday and Thursday. So they have no college on Friday, and they do either a morning session, which would run from 9 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon, or an afternoon session, which would be 1:30 till 5:30. So it gives them short hours in college, not overloading them with full days, and it suits maybe young people that have not done education for a little while or have been on part-time timetables in school. So our offer, so at our first centre, which is in Southgate House in Basildon Town Centre, we offer courses in business and retail. We have an employability and future skills programme, health and social care, nail and beauty and nail tech, and also a work experience programme, which is around 3 days a week in a placement and 1 day in centre doing English and Maths. Here's just a couple of photos. So you can see that our class sizes are not massive, quite small class sizes. And at our other centre, which is on Boulders Croft, which again is in Basildon, just on the industrial estate, is where we run our more practical courses. So we do a level 1 and level 2 in vehicle systems maintenance, and we also do a level 1 and level 2 in construction multi-trade. And again, there's just some photos of what our workshops look like. And as you can see, learners have to wear PPE, and as said before, we will provide all of that for our learners, so they don't have to pay out for their equipment or PPE to do the course. That's our location, so Southgate House in the town centre and Bowlers on Basildon Industrial Estate. We have quite a few ways for young people to apply to us, so we do a lot of careers fairs in schools, but young people can come into us. We can offer taster days, we can come out and speak to groups of young people that might be interested in our courses. We're pretty flexible with working with the schools and how we talk to young people. We can do assemblies, whatever works for that school and the young people they might have that might be suitable for our provision. We are fully funded by the ESFA, so there's obviously no outlay to the young person. And we just like to be a smaller version of a bigger college. I hope that kind of explains everything that we offer. And if we have any questions, I'm happy to take some.
We have a question from Tim Morgan.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you, Aaron. The sort of provision you've just described there is really sort of interesting to me. I'm an assistant head and careers lead at a pupil referral unit, so we work in alternative provision, and obviously the sort of provision that you're talking about is one which we've sort of felt historically is one that is lacking across Essex. You know, those opportunities for youngsters who, because I mean ultimately, you know, what you've described there is it's a provision for youngsters who have tried the sort of traditional routes, not worked out, or the way I would sort of see that running potentially with EHC plans and up to 41 weeks is those youngsters who have not, who are just not ready to move on to that next stage yet, need that extra sort of help, need that help with their maths and their English, their basic skills, their work placements. Now the AP setting that I work in serves the whole of Mid-Essex, so we're talking sort of Chelmsford, Braintree, Halstead, up as far north as Halstead, but also sort of Southwood and Ferrers, and because we're getting close, it's like that sort of slice of cake right from the top to the bottom, right in the middle of the county, from north to south. But really, the question really was sort of like whether there's any sort of whether you're obviously quite self-contained in Basildon. Whether there's any plans to sort of stretch that out, or there's all similar provisions that you know of that are sort of elsewhere in the county, or whether you're sort of planning around Furrow down there in the south and obviously doing a very good job at it, really.
So TCHC just set up in Basildon, so it's quite new. They are happy to look into options. I know there's some councils that have contacted us and said we need something like you in the area. So I know that the board are looking at options. If there was any possibility where we know there's a need in, say, the area you're in, TCHC are always happy to try and see if they can expand into different areas in Essex, because I know there's a need. I've always worked in independent training providers, and there always seems to be there's that scope of young people that don't always fit the net for bigger colleges, and we kind of come in and sort that bit out. So I don't particularly know any independent training providers in your area. I don't know if anyone else does on the meeting, but I know there are a few of us. There's not many of us about, I don't think.
No. To be honest with you, Aaron, I think if they were there, I'd know about them because we've been looking for them for so long. I mean, I'd be more than happy. If it's okay with Tom and the others, if I just sort of drop my email into the chat maybe, and then sort of. I think if there were some of those plans to expand, I'd be very keen to sort of perhaps have a slightly longer conversation with you or somebody else at the organisation, about the need. Really, I can see a lot of other people on the call, a lot of nodding heads. I think there's a real need for this in Essex, the real need for that sort of provision. There are some things that the local authority can offer. There's obviously the youth service. There's Plan B through the youth service, but it all comes down time and time again to sort of capacity, engagement. The levels of there's more demand than there is supply. In terms of the need for those youngsters, and I think that's particularly the case post-COVID. I know a lot of people on here from mainstream settings have said the same thing. Youngsters that have had that sort of the pause button pressed on their sort of emotional development, and although they're 16 years old and then finished year 11, they've done their exams and left school, they're not ready for that next step, and that sort of training provider might be really keen. So if it's okay, I'm just going to drop my email. I'd really appreciate if you could just drop me an email so we can at least share some, and then perhaps we can have that conversation, and perhaps I can, obviously I was talking to Tom just yesterday, catch up with Tom, and we'll see what opportunities we've got, but I won't hog any more time. I'll just drop that in now. Thanks very much. It's really interesting.
Thanks, you.
Tim. Sue? Oh, you're muted.
I'd say exactly the same as Tim. We lost WF training in Colchester. They just notified us before summer holidays. So we have got loads of training in Colchester, but we'd love something like you. And I think, as Tim said, anywhere, we need more opportunities for those students who moving to a big college is just the wrong move. I don't think it is recognised enough by local authorities that how much of an impact these smaller places actually do have in supporting young people and making those next steps and helping them actually do that. So if you're looking in Colchester, then get in touch with any of us in the Colchester schools and we'll gladly work with you.
I'll definitely feed that back. Thank you, because I know sometimes I've worked in providers before, and government bodies don't make it easy for us as independent training providers. So the more support we get to say that the need is there, the better for us. So that would be great. Thank you very much.
Okay. If there's not any more questions, David, would you like to take over?
Cool. Yeah, thank you, Tom. I'm just going to share a few slides as well, so let me just dig them out. And hope that's all okay. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, that's fine.
So my name is Dave Malthouse. I'm the founder of First Nutrition in Essex. We are an independent training provider. We predominantly offer apprenticeships. About 75% of our learners are on an apprenticeship scheme. The remainder of our learners are kind of self-funded, or they're sponsored by an employer. So we're very much kind of an employer that focuses on, a training provider that focuses on employers. We are, I would say, a very niche provider in that we only provide apprenticeships in accountancy. So we are looking at accountancy and finance. I founded First Nutrition in Essex about 12 years ago, and we taught thousands of accountants throughout the whole of the Essex region. We work with most of the major employers in Essex and a very, very large number of small employers in Essex. And for I'm assuming everyone here is from the Essex region, you'll know that one of the challenges in Essex is that it's very much a county of entrepreneurs, which means we have lots and lots of very small businesses and very few large employers that you would see in other areas of the country. So when I speak to people that work in kind of Yorkshire, or kind of obviously work in the City of London, they're always telling me about huge employers that are based there, that are the cornerstones of their economies. We don't have those here, which I find quite difficult engaging with all of those employers, and I can only imagine how challenging it is for kind of schools and colleges to do the same. One of the things that I'll just kind of skip through a few slides, so I'm not taking a huge amount of time talking through them. One of the things that I personally believe in, and I've asked my team to work with me on, is I really want to help give young people really good quality careers advice. And that's something that I'm really passionate about us doing, and I'm really challenging my team to try and help as many young people as possible to make good career decisions based on good knowledge. Now, I'm very aware that my knowledge base is very, very narrow. So I can help people that want to get into finance. I can help people who are open to listen. And one thing that I always tell students when I speak to them is that if you come away from a talk with me and I'm talking about accountancy, and if you come back and say, this is not for me, I never want to do it, that's probably the best possible outcome you can get from that conversation, because you know that's something not to look at and you can look somewhere else. And what I would hope is that by us doing this, we can have other independent training providers who can do a similar thing in their own field, whether that is construction, whether that's digital, whether that's legal services, whether that's working in healthcare. And if we can have people that have these conversations with young people to help them say no so many times until they find the one career that they want to say yes to. So that's what I ideally would like. But for my part, I want to do my part in the world of finance. So there are a few things about me, kind of how I set up First Nutrition. We are a team of just 30 people. We don't get any funding for the work that we do with schools. So it's very much something that we're doing kind of on a voluntary basis. It's something that I am absolutely delighted that every one of my team wants to kind of come with me on this journey to help. So often I still teach whenever I can. So I am in the classroom, and we have, as of last week, I think we finished our summer enrolment for our level 2 program. We do run apprenticeships from level 2 all the way up to level 7. So because we're in a narrow kind of stream of things we deliver, we can go into that kind of depth up to level 7. And I believe we're the only independent training provider that delivers definitely up to level 7 in accountancy in the whole of the region. Okay, a few more things there. I won't talk too much about those. In terms of the outreach things that we do visit schools a lot, and there's loads of photos of some of me, some of my team visiting different schools, different colleges. We're probably at a school event at least once a week during school term times. During National Apprenticeship Week, last time over the 5 days of the National Apprenticeship Week, we made 20 different school visits. Now, those visits will take one of two forms. We will either be there to inform about what a career in finance looks like and how that works under an apprenticeship banner, or we will give a talk that's purely about apprenticeships and the route that you can go to through apprenticeship. So it's not just this is about accountancy. We do also kind of give more, I guess, vanilla talks about this is what an apprenticeship entails and the kind of careers that you can go into. At the bottom of the list, we've got I've got a note there on our summer school. So every summer in our offices in Chelmsford, we host a 2-day summer school for hopefully aspiring accountants. The idea there is that if someone through one of our career talks over the course of the year has expressed an interest in finance, they can come and visit us for 2 days and then get 2 days of really good quality tuition. They can meet some employers and they can find out about what life as an accountant actually looks like to, again, give them that yes/no decision at the end of that summer school. So a lot of the work we do going into schools, if someone shows an interest in finance, brilliant. We will always invite them to their summer school. Some of you may have people over the last few years that have attended our summer school. Last year, I think we had about 120 children from not just Essex, from somewhere from just outside the Essex region that came to visit us in Chelmsford. And we ended up, I think, having just over 70 students with us for those 2 days. The others kind of enrolled, decided not to attend this time, are going to attend next year. So the summer school is kind of the big thing that we do in terms of really helping to give that great quality careers advice to people that are interested in finance. So if we came to see you, I would imagine it would be, we may come to a careers event, we may give a talk in an assembly, we might do kind of one of those kind of carousel sessions where we spend 20 minutes with different groups over the course of a few hours. And I would be looking to give information about finance, about careers in accountancy, and those interested people have then got the option to attend the summer school in the summer. Obviously, that will be during school hours, so it is 2 days that they'd be asking away from school. But we haven't really had that many schools that have objected to that. It's usually in July, so it tends to be after kind of mock exams and things like that take place. So there are a few details about summer school. As the notes there, we had a few people that came from central London, a few people from Norwich and Bexleyheath, as the majority of our students did come from Essex. And we're starting to see now, we've been running summer school about 6 years now. We're now starting to see people that have gone through the summer school route that have then gone into an apprenticeship who are now qualified and working in finance and having a fantastic career. So it is something that really, really works, but it's part of our overall kind of offering that we have to schools and to colleges to help give good careers advice and help people make the right decision when it comes to their time to leave education and move into the world of work. And I think that's me. Got a few things about students, but I'm very conscious that we're due to end at 5 and you've probably got some questions. I'll just close the slides if anyone has got any questions. Excellent.
David,
yeah,
you're based in Chelmsford?
Yes. We have a centre in Southend as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We are planning to open a centre in Colchester. That's subject to approval from some of our regulatory boards, regulatory authorities, as to whether we're actually allowed to operate in Colchester or not. There's kind of competition questions about the qualifications we deliver and whether we're actually able to go there. But we hope to be offering there in September next year. But I'm always in Colchester speaking to people in schools there anyway, so it doesn't preclude me from going there at all.
Is there anywhere in Essex that is a little bit too far for you to go in terms of visiting schools?
No.
Good.
No, my the mileage that I stacked up on National Apprenticeship Week was absolutely phenomenal. I think I started kind of in Clapton one day and then had a lunchtime assembly that I gave in Southend and then finished the day in Harlow. So it was, yeah, quite the road trip.
Right. No other questions from anyone about to any of our guest speakers today? Okay. Well, it looks like we can give you back a few minutes. Should we got Markin or white wine to drink or what have you? So I'd just like to thank Aaron, Abby and David for turning up and telling us about their provision. And obviously, if you want to get in contact with them, let your EC know, and we can arrange that. And if you are struggling to get other providers in, again, that's kind of what we're there for, as well as the other people who were speaking today. So thanks, Laura, for helping out behind the scenes. And just to remind everyone that we're going to be putting these webinars on every month. So the next one will be on the 7th of November. All our webinars are on our website now. So do have a look at all the dates coming up and try and get them in your diary. Make sure you can attend. Even if you can get something out of it, whether that be a provider, something you weren't aware of before, or just networking, they'll all be useful. So the next one's going to be on benchmark 2, so the local labour market and how to best meet that benchmark. So yeah, thanks very much for coming, and I'll let you go a little bit early.